Hello, I'm John Brisson, author of Fix Your Gut, health coach, and welcome to the Fix Your Gut YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be on one of my favorite supplements, which is D-limonene, which most people call orange oil, which it is different. It is a component of orange oil, but it's not orange oil itself. And this is one of my favorite supplements to help with upper gut dysbiosis. It's actually, I think, partner Fix Your Gut Jason Hooper, I think it's actually his favorite supplement. Out of most of them, he does recommend it a lot, and he's used it previously himself too. Now, I do have the Jarrow Formulas brand of D-limonene. We actually recommend the Orange Burps D-limonene now. The reason being is because, as you can see, which these capsules are sticking together, they're horse pills. The Orange Burps are about half the size of this, a lot easier to swallow, even though this is a soft gel. So what is D-limonene, first off? D-limonene is a colorless monoterpene. It's the major component of citrus fruit oil. Citrus fruits like lemons, limes, and oranges. Of course, most D-limonene supplements are obtained from orange oil, either through centrifuge separation or steam distillation. Most limonene is used either as a fragrance for the cosmetic industry or as an industrialized cleaner. It works very well as a solvent. You'll see it in a lot of your natural cleaners as a solvent. Limonene is also found as a flavoring agent in many chewing gums and sodas and food products. Actually, interesting enough, I use D-limonene as a natural botanical insecticide. I use the product Orange Guard. I have some real bad fire ants. I live in the South, in North Carolina, where fire ants are everywhere, and sometimes during rainstorms they could try to get inside. So I use it on them. It melts away their exoskeleton directly, breaks it down, and also works as a barrier against them. Works very well for ants and cockroaches, not so much against spiders. But even though it does harm insects, it does not relatively harm human beings, except in very large doses, or animals like your pets, like your cat or your dog. So it makes it very safe to use as an insecticide. Now, I don't recommend a lot of people use D-limonene, or I guess its main component being orange essential oil if you're burning for aromatherapy, because it could be kind of harsh on the lungs of your pets and children. Adults' lungs should be able to handle it. I just wanted to throw that in there and talk about it. But yeah, I do love D-limonene. Let's talk about how it was originally discovered to work properly for GERD. There was a chemist from Texas named Joe S. Wilkins, who was working with orange oil to try to formulate a natural cleaning product. One day he was eating a meal, and he had some orange oil on his hands, and he forgot to wash it off, and I guess his meal had a little bit of an orange taste to it. And he noticed that the heartburn that he normally gets disappeared. He was feeling better. So he started marketing it and touting it and patenting it for gastrointestinal reflux disease. He actually later discovered too that it had very strong antiviral effects against herpes viridae, which he actually patented for that too as well. It works very well against herpes simplex 1, herpes simplex 2, varicella, which is the cause of chickenpox and shingles, or Epstein-Barr and cytomegalovirus, which are both the causes, believed purported causes of chronic fatigue syndrome. So it does seem to work very well in hindering viral replication. So D-limonene itself has extremely low toxicity in humans. Generally recognized as safe as a food additive and as a supplement too. There's one study where a group of people were taking a 1,000 milligram soft gel every day for 2 weeks, and they reported to have less symptoms, or even in some cases complete remission of the gastrointestinal reflux disease. Even up to 6 months, it seemed to help the dysbiosis that much. So how does D-limonene work? D-limonene is lighter than water, so it floats up to the surface of your gastric juices in your stomach. So when you start refluxing, it pushes it upwards, and it starts coating the esophagus and helps protect the esophagus from stomach acid and pepsin and bile, and even gram-negative endotoxins, which bacteria produce. Gram-negative bacteria produce these endotoxins that can cause inflammation. So it helps protect that. It also increases vasoactive intestinal peptide, which is used in the body for a lot of functions. Proper motility, secretion of bicarbonate by the pancreas, stimulation of bile, helps make sure the stomach's full of the acid. The pH of it's low by upregulating the pepsinogen and gastrin production. And so it does help a lot. It also has very anti-inflammatory properties on the intestinal tract itself. So it's good to have an increase of vasoactive intestinal peptide when you're having digestive issues, we're having inflammation. D-limonene is also known to help accelerate gastric emptying, or the time that it takes for the food to leave the stomach. As well as it does increase cellular glutathione and help improve stage 2 liver detoxification of many different types of nasty chemicals that we're exposed to living in our modern world on a daily basis. And it also does have a benefit too. One thing I mentioned is it does work very well against a lot of upper gut gram-negative dysbiosis. Citrobacter, Proteus mirabilis, Klebsiella, H. pylori, they do not like D-limonene. It seems to work very well in reducing bacteria as well as interrupting complex biofilm matrices that a lot of these bacteria produce and hide behind. So that's why I do like it as such and do recommend it in a lot of my upper gut protocols. It was studied in Japan one time, interestingly enough, where they were taking D-limonene, emulsified D-limonene, and they were injecting into gallbladders of people that were full of gallstones and were having gallbladder disease, and it seemed to work very well for that. It would dissolve their gallstones. I think it completely dissolved the gallstone in about half the cases. 25% it dissolved some of the stones, and the rest 25% it seemed to do nothing. And they were talking about there might be better preparations they could use to help dissolve the gallstones, and that would save people's gallbladders. The gallbladder does have a function, people. It regulates bile expression from the liver, and it's dumping into the duodenum, and it does store bile, so it does serve a great purpose. It's not a vestigial organ that we can just rip out of our body like most doctors think, and there'll be no consequences. So I do think there should be more study into using D-limonene that way to save people's gallbladders. Hopefully more studies will be done in the future for that. But yeah, one last thing I want to talk about D-limonene is that it does increase GABA production in the brain. So a lot of people who take it have a sense of calmness. It helps prevent against glutamate excitability too. So people with brain fog and possibly seizures may benefit from D-limonene, or people with anxiety because of the increase of GABA may benefit from D-limonene supplementation. A lot of people, if you do find it to make you tired, it would probably be best to take it at night with dinner, if you can't take it on an empty stomach, or if you do take it on an empty stomach about an hour before bed, instead of taking it during the day if it does make you sleepy. So yeah, I can't recommend D-limonene enough. I guess a few potential side effects of D-limonene usage is, for some people with histamine intolerance, elevated Th2 system, it may cause you to have increased histamine reactions to foods, so you may want to avoid it. It can also, if you are dealing with severe gastritis or a stomach perforation, you may not want to take it because it possibly could irritate the stomach at that point if there's a lot of inflammation, especially if you have a lot of gram-negative bacteria down there and it starts reducing their populations. They'll spill the endotoxins and increase inflammation, so you probably want to ask your healthcare professional before using it if you're dealing with those conditions. And there's been some people who've reported that limonene has caused breathing issues if they aspirate it. That is true. It can irritate the lungs. And for some people, rarely it can irritate the esophagus. Probably from, like I said, endotoxin dump from gram-negative bacteria dying that were living in the esophagus. But for some people, if it causes esophageal inflammation, or, shortness of breath or breathing issues, or if you're suffering from really bad aspiration, you really easily find it easy to aspirate contents into your lungs, I would stay away from D-limonene. But other than that, for most people, it's very safe. I've used it. I know a lot of people who have used it. I've coached a lot of people who've used it with very good success, and it doesn't seem to cause a lot of side effects. So that's it. This is one of my favorite supplements to use for upper gut dysbiosis and for reflux, which is D-limonene. I wrote a very good blog on it on Fix Your Gut, and I'll link to it in the notes section. That's it for today. If you like this episode, please like our YouTube channel, and please share it as well, and subscribe. And leave a comment in the section below if you've used D-limonene, or if you haven't and you want to know more about it. Leave a comment and let me know what reactions you had to D-limonene, whether they were positive or negative. I'm always interested in people's experiences with anything that we recommend here at Fix Your Gut, and I hope you have a great day.